Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and it is that time of the year to do the best books of 2025. That's right, I'm excited. We have a lot of books to talk about, so we're gonna just roll right into it. What I'm showing on the screen starting now, these are all the books that didn't quite hit that 5-star perfect for me, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, made me feel so deeply 5-star ratings. So these are all books that were over 4 stars, 4.25, 4.5, 4.75, and I've broken them up by genre. So we had a really good spread of books in the runner-up category as well. And so I think of those, I think there are 17 books in the runner-up category. So books that I gave over 4 stars, which is really awesome. And in today's video, we're gonna rapid fire talk about the 21 books I gave full 5 out of 5 stars to. Usually in years past, I have broken this video up by genre, but I didn't feel like doing that this time. I wanted to just go top to bottom chronologically. The first book I read of the year that was a 5-star last year, down to the last book that I have to talk about. Maybe by the end of this video we'll figure out what my top book of the year, but I make no promises. It's so hard to pick a favorite amongst all these excellent reads. My first 5 out of 5 star read of the year of 2025 was Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This is a cozy historical fantasy horror, but also romance. This is a really fun read. I read it primarily for the horror and romance elements. This is about our main character who is a monster, Secession, and she has the ability to like shapeshift and like glom onto things, absorb items into her body, and then make a skeleton and kind of shapeshift that way. And she is gravely injured one day, and the love interest nurses her back to health. And of course there is more plot beyond that, but we have a lot of books to talk about. This, I think, is not perfect. It's not a perfect book. There are flaws, but I thought the warmth of the love and the story here was well worth some kind of cheesiness. Secession is really emotionally intelligent for someone who is not human and who has never really interacted with humans other than to eat them, which didn't really bother me, but I could see it bothering other folks. I really loved this horror romance and highly recommend it. Next we have Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. This is a contemporary romance featuring a bi man and an Asian Canadian woman who are in their 40s, and I deeply love this. This is about these two characters meeting on an online game that they play together, and then they meet in real life and become friends and of course lovers. Both of these characters have individual arcs and journeys that they're going on, and their romance is truly adorable, and I felt very seen, kind of reminiscing about my relationship with my own partner, my husband, and our nerd culture and some of, nerddoms that bring us together, and how awesome it is to find someone who likes the things that you like. This book means a lot to me. I read it twice this year, and again, 5 out of 5 stars. I love it so deeply. We have A Man and His Cat, volume 11 by Umi Sakurai. This is an ongoing contemporary fiction series about a man who adopts a kitten, a cat, after the death of his wife, to kind of get over the loss of his wife, and you get the cat's perspective as well. This is a fun series, makes me deeply emotional and feels very warm and silly and cute. So I just enjoy my time reading it. As the series has gone on past volume 11, it's felt a little dragged out, but there are still excellent volumes 11 in. So I really like this manga series, and again would highly recommend it. I'm going to talk about the next 2 books together, even though I didn't read them chronologically together, but that's Vera Wong. I've talked about Vera Wong so many times on this channel. We've got the first book, which is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, and Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. And these are cozy mysteries and featuring an elderly woman who is lonely, and she has found families and, of course, a murder mystery at the heart. These, again, are warm and loving and silly. Vera is such a fun character to root for. I've talked about these ad nauseum on my channel. I keep recommending them. I keep saying they're some of the best books I read this year, and that still holds true in the beginning of 2026. I still think about these books and love them so, so deeply. Then we have a nonfiction book, which is The Body Is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love by Sonia Renee Taylor. This is a really short but impactful nonfiction work about body positivity and what that truly means and what does it mean to truly love yourself. I just remember like feeling very seen, and of course everyone struggles in some way with their body. How can you not in this culture that we live in? And this felt both empathetic and warm, but real, and had some hard-hitting things to say. So if you're looking for a really short and quick nonfiction, I highly recommend this one. The audiobook was excellent. I think it was read by the author as well. Next, on a completely different note, we have a dark fantasy series, which is, I don't know what the series is actually called, but the first book is Captive Prince, and then we've got Prince's Gambit, and then King's Rising. This is, at least the last two books for me were full 5 out of 5 stars. I hesitate to recommend this series because it is a dark fantasy. I don't say that lightly, and I don't typically like dark fantasy, but this series really worked for me. It gripped me from page 1. I was really invested in this Achillean romance from the get-go. The world building was interesting. The politics were my favorite part of this. I'm a big political fantasy person, and I think this blended political fantasy and romance really well. It's a slow burn, let me tell you. It took all 3 of these books to get there, and the journey was definitely worth it to me. Again, go into this one with caution, but I adored these and had such a great time reading them. Really quickly, I'm going to actually talk about a reread I did. The first time I read this book, it was a 3-star read for me. I was like, this is fine. I didn't really get the hype. And then the sequel came out, and I was like, I'm gonna give that book another shot and then read the sequel. And I read this first one again, and it was 5 stars. I was like, what was past me thinking? I was so wrong. And that book is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This was a full 5 stars read for me upon reread, and I just want to like acknowledge that. And this is a fantasy that has like plant and human morphing and societal elements, technological elements that have to do with plants and fungi, which is super cool. These are mysteries, and it's very Sherlock Watson dynamic between the main character and the Sherlock character. That's like, her name's Anna. These are so fun. I read the sequel and also really loved it. It's on my runner-up list, but I actually do think this is worth the hype and was definitely a win for me upon reread. Another nonfiction is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. This is, I don't know what it is. John Green just has a way of writing nonfiction that is story-like, fiction-like. He weaves a really compelling narrative throughout this informational text that made me feel really deeply. This was upsetting at times, this was horrifying at times, it was sad, but it was also happy and joyous and hopeful in the end. And it was such a wild ride of emotions that I left this book feeling joyful and hopeful. And I think that's truly masterful in the way that this work was crafted. I obviously learned a lot that I didn't know anything about tuberculosis before picking this up, and now I feel like I know a little bit more. So this is a great nonfiction. It's not super long. It's less than 300 pages. The audiobook is also excellent. Again, going completely different is a dark fantasy, Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. This is the second book in the First Law trilogy, which is a dark fantasy. It's a highly political fantasy, slow paced, which is what I enjoyed about it. The slow pace, the politics. We've got some characters that are essentially all unlikable and or morally gray or morally black, if you ask my opinion. And I just thought the second one nailed it. I actually, spoiler alert, in 2026 finished this trilogy, and this whole trilogy is excellent. So definitely check it out if you're interested in fantasy, if you like dark fantasy. This also has surprising amounts of humor woven through. It's kind of a dry UK humor, which I appreciated, and I thought it broke up the text and the darkness really well. Then we have a novella, Spear by Nicola Griffin. This is a I'll call it a historical fantasy novella about our main character who lives in a cave with her mom, and of course people come to her valley and her life is completely changed. And I don't want to give too much away because the what this story is based on is kind of a spoiler in my opinion, so I'll just leave it there. But this was one of the best fantasies I've read in a long time, and for it being a novella, I thought it was incredibly powerful and such a fun story. It is also sapphic. Then we have These Burning Stars by Bethany Jacobs. I gave this first book 5 out of 5 stars. I've been meaning to read the sequels, and I've just been dragging my feet because the first one was so good. I don't want the other books to disappoint me, but this is an epic sci-fi space opera, which is also sapphic and featuring basically an entire cast of women and queer women at that. And this is surprisingly violent, compelling, action-packed. Again, it's space opera, so it's pretty fast-paced, and I just really loved this book. There's a lot of twists. Again, I don't want to say what they are, but many twists and turns, and it was truly epic in scope, so I, of course, loved it. Then, again, completely different vibe. We're going to talk about the works of E.L. Massey and these contemporary gay hockey romances. So if you're looking for a comp for Heated Rivalry, if you're into that TV show, definitely pick these up. The first book is Like Real People Do, and then the conclusion of this couple is Like You've Nothing Left to Prove, and then we're following a different couple in All Hail the Underdogs. And I gave all 3 of these books 5 out of 5 stars, and these were back-to-back 5 out of 5 stars. I was so lucky. This was such a great reading stint that I had here. But these are warm and inviting and found family and queer and loving and just so warm. And there's kind of a theme to my 5 stars. We've got dark fantasy and we've got warm things that are comforting and, at least to me, and loving. And I think that kind of feels about right for how the year went down and for what I needed in 2025 to, you know, find comfort. But these books are all excellent. I would classify these as new adult. The characters are fairly young, 19, 20, 18, 19, and there's no on-page smut scenes. But so just so you know, if you're interested in picking this up, I adored these. I think I read these 2, Like Real People Do and Like You've Nothing Left to Prove, twice each. And then I read All Hail the Underdogs once, but I definitely want to reread that one too. I'm due for another reread of this series. And the 4th book is a runner-up. So E.L. Massey cannot miss for me, and I can't wait to see what else she writes. Another romance is Savor It by Tara DeWitt. This is a small town romance, and I really loved this one because each of our individual characters had individual arcs that I was really compelled by, as well as the romantic growth and the romantic development that happened between these two characters. It was a little steamy. I really felt the chemistry there between the characters, and I cried during this one. The main male love interest has a teenage niece that he is raising, and their dynamic is often prickly, but in the end they truly love each other, and seeing that play out with the female lead was truly lovely to see. I really loved this romance. I'll talk about the next two books kind of together as well. That is The Curse of Chalion and The Paladin of Souls by Lois McMaster Bujold. These are highly political fantasy books set in the same world. They're kind of a series, but each book is following a different protagonist, and so they could be read as standalones. And I really enjoyed these two. What I enjoyed about these two is that I really loved our main characters. Our main characters' individual journeys in both of these books are so good and so well executed. I really rooted for them, and it made the slow pace of both of the novels not feel so much like a slog, but that I was getting just little glimpses of their life, and I didn't want to put these down because of it, because I cared about the characters so much. Now, did I like other books by Lois McMaster Bujold? Not as much, but these two are definitely standouts for me from her repertoire. We have Saint's Blood by Sebastien de Castell. This is the third book in the Great Coats series. I've been making my way through this quartet, and this is a Three Musketeers inspired historical fantasy. And if you didn't know this about me, I love the Three Musketeers. I love that story. I've read the book. I love the movies, well, most of the movies. I just love everything to do with the Three Musketeers, and so this fantasy was right up my alley. It's a perfect mix to me of politics and action, and our main character, Falchio, is flawed. He's ever so slightly a Gary Stu, but the whole cast kind of makes up for it, and I think he's so lovable that I can overlook that. This is the third book. I'm actually currently reading the fourth book, and I really adore this series, and this third book was 5 out of 5 stars. The last book, please don't judge me. The last 5-star read I read in 2025 was Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. So I love Sarah Gailey. They are an author for me. I've read everything they've written, and I have a whole video talking about this author, what they mean to me, and their books in depth if you'd like to check it out. This is a horror romance novella. I don't think it's a romance. I think it's a horror erotica. That's a bit closer. But the reason I liked this is because the blend of the erotic nature of things and the horror elements was so unsettling. I got that icky feeling in my tummy, and that's what I like when I read horror. I gotta have that like sense of dread or that feeling of like, ooh, that's kind of gross in my tummy. And it definitely happened with this book, and I just was so compelled by it that I can't not give it 5 stars. It was so good to me. I totally understand why this is not going to be a book for everyone, but Sarah Gailey just knows how to get into my brain, I swear, and write things that just click for me, and I'm so happy about that. Happy for me, at the very least. I probably didn't do the best job going through every single book. I tried to give you a synopsis about what they're about, but there's a lot of books to talk about. If I'm looking at this list, and I don't know if I can pick, but some standouts from the year, I'd have to say my love for Vera Wong is up there. She might be in my top 3. The E.L. Massey books, definitely. This whole chunk of books gotta be in my top 3. I'm actually gonna put Everything is Tuberculosis as my other number 3 slot. I know that's kind of cheating because I've got like chunks of books as my other two spots, but I still think about that book, and it just made me think and it made me feel. And so if you're gonna take away anything from this video, I really recommend Vera Wong, E.L. Massey as an author, and then Everything is Tuberculosis. I think those are my top three books of the year. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know some of your favorite books. I would love to know all your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Here's to 2026, and I will see you in another video of mine very soon. Bye.